Imagine standing in the dark. It is cool, damp, and it smells, faintly of earth and dust. You're in this massive sort of hangar-like space, completely underground. Then the lights flicker on.
And suddenly you realize you're not alone.
Not at all. You're standing on the edge of this enormous pit, and staring back at you are faces. Not tens, not hundreds, but thousands of them.
The terracotta army. It's one of those images that's just, it's instantly recognizable, isn't it?
It really is.
It's the kind of discovery that makes you stop and just question the sheer scale of human ambition.
Exactly. We've all seen the photos. But seeing the scale of it, 6,000, maybe 8,000 men.
Life-size.
Life-sized. They're armored. And the detail is insane. Every single face is unique. Some look stern, some look calm, some look like they're about to shout an order.
And they've been standing there in the dark in formation for over 2,000 years.
It's probably the most haunting archaeological site on the planet.
It really is. And it's the perfect place to start our mission today. Because those soldiers, they are guardians. Right.
They're guarding the tomb of a man who is essentially the patient zero of the nation we know today as China.
We are talking, of course, about Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor. And I think for a lot of people, the general knowledge kind of stops at the clay soldiers. We know he was a big deal. We know he built a wall, and we know he has this scary tomb.
But the sources paint a picture that is so much more complex. This isn't just a history lesson. It feels more like a psychological thriller.
It really does.
We're looking at a man who is a massive paradox. On one hand, he ended 500 years of constant bloody warfare.
500 years.
He standardized writing for an entire continent. He built the precursor to the Great Wall. He is, the builder.
But, and there's always a massive but with these historical titans, he was also a paranoid tyrant who burned books, buried scholars alive.
And spent the second half of his life completely obsessed with magic potions to live forever. That's the central tension we really need to explore. Was he a visionary who built the foundation of a civilization? Or was he a monster who destroyed culture just to feed his own ego?
And that's our mission in this deep dive. We want to get inside his head. We want to trace the psychology of the first emperor.
We're going to cover the whole arc, from his sort of soap opera origins to his ruthless rise, all the way to his, literally fishy death.
It is quite a trajectory, from a venture capital investment to a rotting corpse in a carriage.
So let's start at the very beginning, because usually when you hear about an emperor, you assume they were born in a palace, surrounded by silk, destined for greatness. But Qin Shi Huang, or Yingzheng as he was born, had a start that was a little rocky.
Rocky is putting it mildly. To understand him, you have to understand the world he was born to. This is the 3rd century BC, the Warring States period.
Right.
Picture Europe in the Middle Ages, or maybe the Westeros of Game of Thrones, but on steroids.
So it wasn't one China yet?
Far from it. For centuries, you had 7 major states: Qin, Zhao, Han, Wei, Yan, Shu, and Qi, and they were all locked in this death spiral.
Constant warfare.
Constant warfare.
Betrayals. Alliances made and broken. It was a meat grinder.
And our protagonist, Yingzheng, was born in 259 BC, but he wasn't born in his own country. He was born in the state of Zhao, which was a bitter enemy of his home state, Qin.
Exactly. And this brings us to his father, a man named Yiren. Yiren was a prince of the state of Qin, but he wasn't important.
Oh, really?
Not at all. His father, the king back home, had over 20 sons. Yiren was, spare parts. So he was sent to the enemy state of Zhao as a hostage.
A human insurance policy. That does not sound like a great career path.
It wasn't. It was a common practice back then. I won't attack you because you have my son.
Oh.
But because Yiren was a minor prince, he was basically expendable.
Wow.
He was living in the enemy capital in poverty, totally abandoned by his family.
Enter the most interesting character in this early chapter, a wealthy merchant named Lu Buwei. In the notes, he comes across as the ultimate venture capitalist. He really was. Lu Buwei is fascinating. He saw this pathetic, abandoned prince not as a charity case, but as an undervalued asset.
Okay.
There's a famous conversation recorded in the history books. Lu Buwei asks his own father about profit margins.
I love this quote. He asks, if you farm the land, what's the return?
And his father says, maybe 10 times the investment.
Then he asks, if you trade in pearls and jade?
Maybe 100 times.
And then the killer question, what if you help a king onto the throne?
And the answer is incalculable.
Incalculable.
That's the mindset. Lu Buwei decides to invest in Prince Yiren. He uses his massive wealth to bribe officials, buy influence back in the Qin court, and essentially market Yuan as the heir apparent.
He buys the prince a career.
He does, but he gives him something else, too. A woman, and this is where the scandal starts. A scandal that haunted the first emperor his entire life.
The rumor of illegitimacy.
Exactly. Lu Buwei had a concubine, a dancer named Zhao Ji. She was beautiful, talented, and Yuan, the prince, he falls in love with her. And Lu Buwei, being the generous investor protecting his asset, gave her to the prince.
And 9 months later, or maybe a little less than 9 months later, little Yingzheng is born.
Right, and for 2,000 years, historians have debated, was Yingzheng actually the son of the merchant Lu Buwei? Was the mother already pregnant when she was handed over?
It is the ultimate soap opera twist.
Mm-hmm.
The man who would claim to be a godlike emperor might actually be the son of a wheeling-dealing merchant.
And whether it's true or not almost doesn't matter as much as the suspicion did. It hung over him. And his childhood didn't get any easier.
Right.
Shortly after his birth, war broke out again. His father, Yuan, managed to escape back to Qin with Lu Buwei's help, but they left the mother and the toddler behind in Zhao.
So he's a toddler, abandoned by his father, living in a city that hates his guts because his country is constantly attacking them.
Exactly. He spent his formative years in hiding, in poverty, likely being bullied by local kids who saw him as the enemy. That kind of trauma, that feeling of being unsafe, of being surrounded by enemies, it wires a brain for paranoia. It teaches you that the only way to be safe is to have absolute control.
So the psychology of the tyrant is being built right there in the slums of Zhao.
It really is.
But eventually, the investment pays off. His father becomes king, then dies young, and suddenly, at age 13, Yingzheng is the king of Qin.
A 13-year-old boy on the throne of the most militaristic state in China. But obviously a 13-year-old isn't running the show.
Yeah.
Lu Buwei, the merchant, is now the chancellor. He's the regent. He is the most powerful man in the world, acting as the father figure.
But you can't stay a boy forever. And this is where we get to the part of the story that honestly sounds like it was written for a premium cable drama, the palace coup.
The Lao Ai affair. This is the pivotal moment where the boy becomes the man.
Okay, set this up for us.
So the young king is growing up. Lu Bu is getting nervous. He has been rekindling his affair with the king's mother, the queen dowager.
Which is a dangerous game when your son, the king, is starting to ask questions.
Extremely. So Lu Buwei wants to disentangle himself. He finds a man named Lao Ai. Now, the sources are very specific about Lao Ai's talents.
Okay.
Let's just say he was known for his extreme virility.
I think the history books mention something about lifting a carriage wheel with a certain part of his anatomy.
We can leave the physics of that to the listener's imagination, but yes, that is the legend.
Unbelievable.
So Lu Buwei smuggles this man, Lao Ai, into the palace to keep the queen dowager happy. But you can't just walk a man into the queen's harem, so they frame him as a eunuch.
They plucked his beard and eyebrows to make him look the part, but they didn't actually perform the surgery.
Correct. So you have a fake eunuch living with the queen mother. They fall in love. They have 2 secret children. Two. And Lao Ai gets ambitious. He gets a title. He builds a following. And he starts thinking, hey, if the king dies, maybe one of my secret sons could be the next king.
This is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
The king is now 22. He's ready to take full power. And he finds out.
He finds out everything. And the crackdown is, it's terrifying. This is the moment Yingzheng reveals who he really is. He doesn't just arrest them, he annihilates them.
What does he do?
Lao Ai is executed by being torn apart by carriages, literally 5 horses pulling his limbs in different directions.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal.
His entire clan is exterminated. The 2 secret half-brothers, these are innocent children, are placed in sacks and beaten to death.
Oh my God.
The queen mother is placed under house arrest. And Lu Buwei, the man who engineered his whole rise to power.
What happens to him?
He's implicated, exiled, and eventually commits suicide by drinking poison.
Talk about cleaning house.
It was a purge, but it was also a psychological break. He eliminated his father figures, his mother's betrayal, and any threat to his throne. From this point on, he trusts no one.
No one.
He relies on no one but himself and the law. This is the birth of the Tiger of Qin.
So the domestic threats are gone. Now he looks outward. He looks at the map of China, which isn't China yet. It's these 7 squabbling states. And he says, mine.
And he had the means to take it. We need to talk about the war machine. The Qin state had advantages. They were on the western edge, protected by mountains. But more importantly, they had a culture of militarism.
And he had a new advisor to help him wield that weapon. a man named Li Si.
Li Si is crucial. He introduces, or rather reinforces, a philosophy called legalism.
We hear that term a lot. How is it different from, say, Confucianism?
It's the polar opposite. Confucianism says people are basically good, and the ruler should lead by virtue and example. If the king is good, the people will be good.
Okay, sort of a lead-by-example philosophy.
Right. Legalism says, no, people are self-interested and chaotic. To rule, you need harsh laws, strict rewards, and terrifying punishments. The state is everything. The individual is nothing.
So, do what I say or I chop off your hand.
Essentially, Li Si tells the king, the time is right. We can take it all. They adopt a strategy called befriend the far, attack the near.
Okay, so that's...
You ally with the states that are far away so they don't attack you, while you gobble up your neighbors one by one.
Smart. Devious but smart. And the Qin army was terrifying.
They rewarded soldiers based on the number of enemy heads they brought back. It was a meritocracy of blood.
A meritocracy of blood.
Wow, but the other states didn't just roll over, they were desperate. And this brings us to one of the most famous stories in Chinese history, the assassination attempt by Jing Kai.
This is a movie scene. It's 227 BC. The state of Yan is next on the chopping block. They were terrified. So the Crown Prince of Yan hires a professional assassin, Jing Kai.
But you can't just walk up to the King of Qin. He is the most guarded man on earth. You need a gift. You need some kind of bait.
Right, you can't just get a meeting.
So Jing Kai brings two things. One is a map of the Yan territory, signifying surrender. The other is the severed head of a traitorous Qin general who had fled to Yan.
He literally brought a head in a box to get a meeting.
He did. The general actually committed suicide just to give Jing Kai his head so the plan could work.
That is the level of desperation we were talking about.
Absolutely. So Jing Kai gets into the throne room. He approaches the king. He opens the box with the head. The king is pleased. Then, slowly, he unrolls the map.
And hidden at the very end of the scroll
is a poisoned dagger.
Wow.
Jing Kai grabs the dagger, grabs the king's sleeve, and strikes. But the sleeve tears, the king jumps back. Now here is the crazy part. The king has this massive ceremonial sword, like a long sword, and in the panic, he can't draw it.
It's too long.
It's too long to pull out quickly while he's running, and the guards, they're frozen. The law of Qin stated that no guards were allowed in the upper throne area, and they couldn't enter without being summoned.
You're kidding. So it's just the king and the assassin running around a pillar in the throne room.
It's like a slapstick comedy sketch, but with legal consequences.
So how does he get out of it?
Finally, a physician in the court throws his medicine bag at Jing Kai. It distracts him for a split second. The king manages to swing his sword behind his back to draw it, and he cuts Jing Kai down.
That moment must have cemented his worldview. Everyone wants to kill me. Mercy is weakness.
It accelerated everything. The rage was total. Over the next 10 years, the Qin armies swept across China like a wildfire.
One by one.
Han, Zhao, Yan, Wei, Chu, they all fell. By 221 BC, the dust settles, and Yingzheng stands alone. He has done the impossible. He has united all under heaven.
And king isn't a big enough title anymore.
No. Wang, or king, was what the leaders of the small states called themselves. He needed something new, something grander.
So what does he do?
He combines Huang, August, or day, divine ruler from ancient mythology. He becomes Qin Shi Huang, the first August divine emperor.
The first emperor.
And he envisions a dynasty lasting 10,000 generations.
He wasn't just a political leader. He was claiming a status almost like a deity. And now that he has the empire, he has to run it. This brings us to, I guess, the architect phase.
This is where his legacy really lies. If he had just conquered and died, he would be a footnote. But he built a system. First, he abolished the feudal system. No more independent lords with their own armies.
Okay.
He divided the empire into 36 commanderies, run by officials he appointed and could fire.
Centralization. The birth of the bureaucracy.
And then the aha moments of standardization. You have to realize, before this, if you went from one state to another, it was like going to a different country.
Right.
The writing scripts were different, the money was different, some used knife-shaped coins, some used spades, the weights and measures were all over the place.
It was chaos. You couldn't even do business.
Qin Shi Huang fixed it all. He mandated the small seal script. Suddenly, an order written in the capital could be read in a village 1,000 miles away.
That's huge. That binds the culture together.
It's crucial. He created the Banliang coin, that famous round coin with the square hole in the middle. That design was used for 2,000 years.
And my favorite detail?
Yeah.
The axles.
Yeah.
He standardized the length of the axles on carts.
It sounds so boring, but it was genius.
Explain why.
Chinese roads were dirt. Carts wore deep ruts into the earth. If your axle didn't fit the ruts, you couldn't travel. By standardizing the axle, he created a national highway system. He connected the empire physically.
Wow. It's so simple and so effective. And speaking of construction, we have to talk about the big one, the Great Wall.
Yes. Now, we need to clarify something. The stone wall we see in tourist photos today, that's mostly from the Ming Dynasty, about 1,500 years later.
So what was his wall like?
Qin Shi Huang's wall was made of rammed earth. He sent his general Meng Tian with 300,000 men to connect the existing walls of the northern states to block the nomads, the Xiongnu.
It was a brutal project. They say the bodies of workers are buried in it.
The human cost was staggering. And it wasn't just the wall. He built a massive road network, canals like the Linghuai Canal to conquer the south.
And I read he confiscated all the weapons from the conquered states.
He did. He melted them down into 12 giant metal statues or colossi to stand in his palace.
This sends a message. I have the metal, you have the farm tools.
Exactly. But this total control had a dark side, a very dark side. We call him the architect, but history also calls him the tyrant. And nothing illustrates that better than the burning of books and burying of scholars.
This event is infamous. It's 213 BC. A banquet. What went wrong?
A scholar stood up and criticized the emperor. He used the past, the ancient traditions, the ways of the Zhou dynasty to attack the present policies. He basically said the old ways were better.
And in a legalist state, you don't look backward, you look forward.
Precisely. Li Si, the prime minister, stepped in. He argued that these scholars were using history to sow discord, to confuse the people. So he proposed a radical solution.
Which was?
Burn them. Burn the books.
All of them.
The decree was specific. All history books except those of the Qin state. All poetry, all philosophy, especially Confucian texts. The only books spared were those on medicine, agriculture, and divination.
It's an attempt to wipe the hard drive of civilization, to make it so history starts with him.
It was information control on a massive scale. And when scholars resisted, or more specifically, when the emperor felt deceived by some alchemists later on, he lashed out at the intellectual class.
This is the burying of scholars.
Yes. The records say he had 460 scholars buried alive in the capital as a warning.
Burying alive implies just putting them in a hole and covering them up.
Yes. It was a terror tactic. He was saying, your words, your ideas, they mean nothing. My power is the only truth. It cemented his reputation as a monster in the eyes of later Confucian historians.
And amid all this cruelty, he was building a palace that was just absurdly large, the Yipang Palace.
The ambition was off the charts. The front hall alone was said to be 75,000 square meters. They say 700,000 workers were conscripted for his project.
Wow.
But archaeology suggests Yipang might never have been fully finished. It was more a symbol of his excess. He wanted a palace for every state he conquered.
But no matter how big the palace or how high the wall, there was one enemy he couldn't defeat. Right. And this is what the story shifts from political drama to psychological horror. The obsession with immortality.
He was terrified of dying, wasn't he?
Completely.
Paralyzed by it. He had survived assassinations. He saw enemies everywhere. He began to believe that if he could just find the elixir of life, he could rule forever.
So he starts turning to mystics and
alchemists, sorcerers, anyone who promised a miracle.
Tell us about the Zhufu expedition. This is a legend that connects China and Japan, right?
It's fascinating. Yu Fu was a court sorcerer. He told the emperor there were 3 magical mountains in the Eastern Sea where immortals lived. He said he needed resources to go find them.
So what did the emperor give him?
Ships, supplies, and thousands of virgin boys and girls to serve as an offering or a colony.
Right.
They sailed away and never came back.
Never.
The legend says they landed in Japan and became the ancestors of the Japanese people. Zhu Fu probably knew he couldn't find the elixir and decided that staying in Japan was safer than returning to the emperor empty-handed. Smart man. Because the emperor was getting crazier. He was traveling around shooting crossbows at the ocean.
Yes. On one of his tours, the alchemist told him a giant fish, a sea monster, was blocking the path to the immortals.
A sea monster.
So the emperor, the ruler of the world, personally stood on the shore with a repeating crossbow and waited until he saw a large fish, probably a whale or a shark, and shot it.
He's fighting nature itself.
He also became a recluse in his own homes. He built secret tunnels connecting his 200 palaces. No one was allowed to know which room he slept in.
Why?
If you revealed his location, you died. He was trying to hide from evil spirits and assassins.
It's a sad image, really. The most powerful man on Earth, scurrying through tunnels like a rat, terrified of his own shadow.
It is.
And then the end comes. And it's not in battle, it's not in a glorious ritual, it's on a road trip.
210 BC. He's on his 5th tour of the empire. He falls ill at a place called Shaki, the Sand Dune Palace. And the irony is, the medicine he was taking, these pills given to him by alchemists to make him immortal, likely contained mercury. So the cure killed him.
It seems very likely. Mercury poisoning attacks the nervous system, causes paranoia, and eventually organ failure. He died seeking life.
But the death is just the start of the final drama, the fishy return.
This is my absolute favorite part of the story in a macabre way.
Mine too. The emperor dies, but nobody knows.
Only a handful of people knew. Li Si, the chancellor, Zhao Gao, the chief eunuch, and the emperor's younger son, Hu Hai. Now, the emperor had written a letter to his eldest son, Fusu, telling him to come back and take the throne.
Fusu was the good son, right, the one who argued against burying the scholars.
Exactly. And that's why Li Si and Zhao Gao were terrified. They knew Fusu would fire them or kill them.
So they conspire.
They hatch a conspiracy, they hide the death, they keep bringing food into the emperor's carriage, they pretend to take orders from him.
It's like Wicked at Bernie's style.
Exactly. But it was summer, it was hot. The body began to decompose.
Oh no!
The smell was becoming noticeable.
So what did the great mastermind Li Si do?
They ordered carts of salted fish abalone or some other kind of fermented fish to be pulled immediately behind and in front of the imperial carriage.
You're joking.
The stench of the rotting fish masked the stench of the rotting emperor.
That is the final image of the divine ruler. A rotting corpse in a box, surrounded by salted fish, being used as a puppet by a eunuch and a lawyer.
It's a tragic, pathetic end. Meanwhile, they forged a decree. They sent a letter to Fusu in the emperor's name, accusing him of being unfilial and ordering him to commit suicide.
And Fusu, what did he do?
He obeyed. He saw the seal of his father and he killed himself. The way was clear for the younger son, Hu Hai, to become the second emperor.
And that was the beginning and the end.
It was.
Because Hu Hai wasn't his father.
No, he was weak, cruel, and manipulated entirely by the eunuch Zhao Gao. The empire fell apart almost instantly. Rebellions sprang up everywhere.
So the dynasty that was supposed to last 10,000 generations
Collapsed just 3 years after Qin Shi Huang's death. The whole dynasty lasted only 15 years total.
15 years, that's it.
But what a 15 years. And even though the dynasty fell, the emperor had one last surprise for the world: the tomb.
We have to talk about the mausoleum. This is what hooked us at the very beginning.
It's massive. It's located near Xi'an. He started building it when he was a teenager. It took 38 years.
And the terracotta warriors we see today?
They are just the outer guard. They are just the perimeter.
The actual tomb, the underground palace, has never been opened, has it?
Correct. Science isn't quite ready to preserve what's inside, and there are concerns.
Concerns like what?
Well, the historian Sima wrote that the ceiling is inlaid with pearls to mimic the stars. And on the floor, a topographical map of China with the rivers, the Yangtze, the Yellow River, made of flowing liquid mercury.
Liquid mercury rivers. Is that just a legend?
While scientists have tested the soil above the tomb mound, the mercury levels are insanely high. It suggests the rivers are real.
And Sima also mentioned booby traps.
Mechanical crossbows rigged to shoot anyone who enters. It's Indiana Jones stuff. And the human cost. Childless concubines were ordered to stay in the tomb. Unbelievable.
And the craftsmen who built the mechanisms, they were sealed inside alive so they couldn't reveal the secrets.
It's a monument to greatness built on a foundation of absolute cruelty.
And that is the legacy, isn't it? That is the takeaway.
So let's unpack that legacy. What does this all mean for us today?
Think about it. He created the concept of China. The name China likely comes from Qin. He created the bureaucratic system that ran the country for 2,000 years.
He unified the language.
In many ways, he's the father of the nation.
But he's also the archetype of the tyrant, the book burner.
Exactly. He is the mirror.
Yeah.
Every Chinese ruler after him had to look in that mirror. Do you want his power? Yes. Do you want his reputation? No.
So what did they do?
The Han dynasty that followed him kept his systems, the laws, the counties, the bureaucracy, but they wrapped it in Confucian kindness to soften the edge. They used Qin's hardware with Confucian software.
That's a great analogy.
And look at the irony. He wanted physical immortality. He wanted his body to live forever. He failed. He died a smelly, undignified death.
But his ambition, The Terracotta Army, the Great Wall, the unified state that achieved a kind of immortality he couldn't have imagined. We are sitting here, over 2,000 years later, on the other side of the world, talking about him.
He won. In the weirdest way possible, he won.
He did. He shaped the world.
This has been an incredible journey. From the hostage prince, to the merchant son, to the tiger who ate the world, to the man in the fish cart. Qin Shi Huang is endlessly fascinating.
Absolutely. A reminder that history is often stranger than any movie script.
If you want to uncover more secrets of the past and join our legion of knowledge seekers, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to History Titans.
And leave a comment below. Do you think he was a hero who unified a civilization or a tyrant who destroyed culture? We want to hear your take.
We'll see you in the next deep dive.